I think death is a really scary prospect for any of us. And it amazes me the lengths that people will go to and the things that they will convince themselves of to avoid the inevitable question and possible reality that, like, death is it. Like, we're done. The fact is, none of us know. I feel like what we're seeing happen with this case is a group of people that are hanging on to that idea so strong and are so wanting to make their life have some kind of meaning, whatever that is to them. And I feel like that's one of the shiny trinkets of this cult, this religious belief, whatever you want to call it, that has made all of them attach themselves to it. Now, that being said, y'all, let's talk about this new interview with Eric Smith, a former follower and friend of Chad Daybell's, though I use the word former very lightly. So Eric Smith did an interview with Court TV, and it was more eye-opening than I was anticipating. So let's jump in. Now, he said that he has learned to put his faith first and his belief in truth before, like, people and organizations. Y'all, we hear this from all of these people. They all are going on and on about truth, and we literally are seeing, like, the worst case of self-deception and lies and betrayal going on. I think that's why they're screaming so loud about it. Usually when you see people yelling out loud about something, whether it's, I've got money, or I'm this, or I'm that, they don't have whatever it is they're talking about. They're insecure, and they feel the need to tell the world. In this case, it is truth and a moral compass. Now, he said he was taught that when you find true principle, you stick to it. And then he's like, look, I found some principles that were outside the box, so to speak. I'm talking, we colored way outside the lines on the box on this one. Now, he says this started a few years ago. He was exploring the idea of multiple lives, living different lives, different times here on Earth. And he says this idea resonated with him immediately. He began researching it and just diving into it. Trust me, y'all, I would love to know. And I'm not saying this isn't true or not true. I don't know. I haven't died and come back to talk about it. So, I can't say. I can only speak from my opinion. Who doesn't want to know that we come back again? It would make me take this life a little bit less seriously. And I just see that being a theme with these people. And I think it also is a very dangerous way to then come at the thought and possibility of death. Now, he says that, this research into this and all this, it did make him stray from his church and his family. And he says that he really does stand by these, like, multiple probations, multiple lives as concept, but that's like a dividing wedge from the church. Then enters Chad Daybell. He says he found Chad's books interesting. He starts going over them. And eventually he meets Chad, and they start talking about the multiple lives. And he says, look, I'm going to call it out. We were pushing the envelope as to, like, what we could learn and discuss and all that and still be considered members of the church. Now, he says that Chad would have gatherings at people's home. He would talk about these books, these beliefs. He also would sell Pampered Chef and Tupperware at these meetings to make everyone's one-stop shopping that much more convenient. And for those late-night meetings, he had a little pure romance on the side. Y'all, what if we found out that Chad was, like, the top salesperson for one of these things? Like, Pampered Chef, pure romance, something like that. And we found out this was all a pyramid scheme the whole time. Like, it was just beyond the religious stuff. Like, he was selling Tupperware in, like, mass amounts. I would just be done with everything. Now, Eric says, look, Chad also had this, like, deep, dark doctrine meetings, and, but I wasn't part of that. And I think it's interesting where people draw the lines with this. Like, look at how Melanie Gibbs spoke. Look at how Eric speaks. Where they're like, well, now, this is pretty normal, and I was going down that road, but not that. And I'm like, honey, you lost me at the beginning when you opened your mouth to tell the story. Now, he too talks about how he was drawn to Chad, how he had, like, this charisma. And again, y'all, we see this with all these cult leaders. They usually do have something that draws people to them. And, we just are seeing more and more evidence of this from people's testimony about Chad. Now, he still says, like, Chad has these spiritual abilities and gifts. He's like, I've seen them in action. And that's the part that, I'm just like, what? And he says that Chad knew he could get people drawn to him, can basically, get people to do what he wanted to because of this charisma of his. So he knew how to work it. Now, y'all, this also is where I'm just like, girl. Okay. He says that, he's talking about these little readings that Chad would do. And he's like, Chad had a necklace that he would pull out. And he would be like, Are you from the 18th century? And then he would let the necklace swing, and like whichever way it went was like the yes or no answer. And I'm just like, how did you make it to this age without being like bankrupted the second you had money by someone that just robbed you blind, selling you a bridge somewhere? Or just past like basic natural selection things, like not walking out in front of cars, things of this nature. He says, looking back now, it does seem a little odd. Now, he's also like, Chad would take it upon himself to really, learn about somebody and then, go to their home and meet with them and, talk about their life. And I'm like, you do know this is like psychic fraud 101 here. Like, people were making a killing off of this stuff. And probably still are, my God. I mean, look at some of these shows out there. I'm just like, honey, this man is not a prophet. He knows how to use Facebook and Google. Let's call it what it is. Now, even with all this, he still says, look, I just can't envision Chad doing this stuff. He's like, you know what? I mean, I went to Tammy's funeral. Chad was there. He had genuine tears in his eyes. And again, I'm just like, dude, this dude's like a master manipulator, maybe. I don't know if I go that far to call him a master, but, he is very good at deceiving others, and you would be shocked at the works that onions can cause your eyes to do. Now, towards the end, again, he starts losing me a bit more, but he's like, I do think the end days are coming. I do think that is true. I think that everyone should be prepared with prepper pride. Okay, so he doesn't say prepper pride, but Lord, my heart was screaming it. But he does think that people need to be prepared. They need to have things to go into the future during end times. They need a big old thing of Duke's mayonnaise from the damn Costco, or a big tub of peanut butter. Now, he says, I still struggle with the idea that Chad committed these crimes, whether he's guilty or not. And I'm like, and herein lies the heart of the problem. I do not think that these people are ex-followers of Chad. I think that they are still following Chad. And when I say these people, Lori, Melanie Gibb, Melanie Pulowski, possibly Ian at this point, definitely Mr. Smith, there's just this disconnect with reality. And it's scary. And I think we've obviously seen many people have lost their lives because of it. So click the videos over here if you want to see more of my commentary on this case. Thank you for watching.